again, it's Crew Call, presented by Flow Racing. Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR roots. You can subscribe at www.flowracing.com. Steve Post from Motor Racing Network pit road reporter and 25-time winner and championship-winning crew chief on the Cup Series, Todd Gordon, is here. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. Good. What a weekend of racing.
Yeah, what a weekend of racing at Talladega Superspeedway. If you would have told me that we will go the final stage without a caution, yeah, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have put. I'm not a gambler, and I would not have put anything on that at all.
The only way I would have believed that is if you had a wreck like they had in an Xfinity race back in like 02 or 03, where there were 9 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah,
I would not have guessed that we'd have gone green flag the whole end of the race, and really pretty good racing all day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to talk a little bit, start kind of our little chit chat here. The Trackhouse Racing team, particularly the one team. Phil Surgeon, and we've chatted with Phil. We had him on a few weeks ago here, and Ross Chastain. You know, they get that win at COTA, and that's impressive. Getting your first win is impressive. I still contend that what they did at Martinsville, 26th or 25th to 5th on a track where nobody could pass, I still contend that might be maybe their best performance this year that they've done. Talladega, we all understand Talladega is survive to the white flag, put yourself in a position, and they did. They are, whatever the challenge is, they are checking the boxes each and every week.
Yeah, definitely. And they've been, second and third place finishes throughout the season. Yeah. It was before he got the win at COTA. He'd been top 5 in about every race. It seemed like tons of speed there. They've maximized on the opportunity of the next gen car and done a great job so far this year. And really, they've been a surprise, I would say, in the Cup Series. I won't say Justin Marks has done a great job with it. Obviously, bought some of the resources of Chip Ganassi, which was a decent Cup program, but they've definitely elevated the program. Both the 99 with Daniel Suarez has run well, but obviously the one car with 2 wins and all the top 5s he's had, Ross and Phil have done a phenomenal job.
They really, truly have. Another team and had the chance, the folks at Childress opened up their motor coaches on Sunday morning to a brunch, a little media, and you want the MRN crew there. You get a brunch, you put some food out, and the food was spectacular, by the way, but had a chance to talk to Richard, and after I got over that conversation, I said, I want to talk to Todd about this as well. Richard shared in our visit there that you don't always have speed in this sport. You know, there's speed and there's execution. And the elusive challenge to find speed will impact the execution. Richard said, we have found the speed in the race cars. Our cars are really, really good. The 3 car, the 8 car, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, really, really good. They're coming off 2 second-place finishes in a row. Now, Richard said, we need to be better executing these races. Speed and execution, it's a tricky combination to get to.
It is, and definitely if you're missing one as a crew chief and you want to be able to sleep at night, you want to be missing execution. Yeah. Because speed is elusive, and finding it, as we've talked about in the past, it's speed is always, you've got to understand how to make speed. So if your car's making speed, and you're not calling the right race, or your pit crew has issues, or the execution, or you're just not thinking the right way, those are all things that we know how to fix. Right. So those things we can go to work on. Right. The speed's sometimes not one that you really can know where to go find it. So having speed, you can clean up execution, and that can happen in a matter of 4 or 5 weeks. And then if you've still got that speed, you've got success. So they've got speed. Totally, the Chevrolet camp.
Well, yeah,
I feel like the Chevrolet camp has really dominated the year of the next gen car. I don't know where that comes from, but you look at it. We've talked about the Toyota challenges through the season, and really Ryan Blaney's led a lot of laps and run decently for Team Penske. But outside of that, I don't think that there's a lot of Ford stuff that you can jump up and down about as to they're really strong and going to win races soon. So. The Chevrolet camp has really dominated, whether it be the Hendrick guys that have been really strong, the RCR guys, as you talked about, Austin with two straight second-place finishes, and the Trackhouse guys. Really, that's their 3 key partners, and they've done really well this year.
Yeah, it's almost like they've done well, because, and then you look at how many bullets they have in the chamber. because three of the Hendrick cars have won. I mean, the Trackhouse cars have won twice there with Ross. It's almost like, if Hendrick, William Byron this past week, he and even Eric Jones to some degree. Eric Jones, they've been really good as well.
California had a great run and was leading coming to the Tri-Oval here at Talladega.
Absolutely. And when you look at that, and the thing of it is with all of these Chevys running well, when he zigs to go block another Chevy, Kyle Larson, there's another Chevy, Ross Chastain, that's able to go by. It's like all those bullets in the chamber, they really seem to have the program together.
Yeah, definitely. And I know the other organizations and other manufacturers are working hard at getting caught up, but just when you have new challenges like this and new opportunities, with change brings opportunity. And I feel like the Chevrolet camp has done a good job of maximizing the first 10 races.
They really, truly have. And speaking of Chevys, we're going to talk to Rudy Fugle today from over at Hendrick Motorsports, one of the really cool guys in the garage area. Can't wait to catch up with Rudy. 2 wins for this team this season. They're off to a good start as well.
Yeah, great start in a second year with this group and history with William before that, but it'd be good to talk to him about that as well.
Absolutely. So Rudy Fugle will join us here on Crew Call. I'd like to remind you that you can subscribe to Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR roots. Catch the Whelen Modified Tour, ARCA Menards Series, Pinty's, and NASCAR Weekly Racing. And this week, we have ARCA East from Dover Motor Speedway on Friday afternoon on Flow Racing. Weekly Racing, South Boston, Berlin, Hickory, Langley, Bowman Gray, Meridian, and Evergreen. So flowracing.com, the new home of NASCAR roots. You can subscribe today at www.flowracing.com. Stay with us. Rudy Fugle, he joins us next. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on Motor Racing Network. Let's go over to Hendrick Motorsports. Joining us, crew chief for William Byron on that number 24 car, Rudy Fugle's joining us. Hello, Rudy. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. It's good to be on here, and thanks for having me.
Good to catch up with you. I would dare say a couple of wins this season. Seems like you guys are off to a fairly solid start there with that 24 team.
Yeah, no, we've been pretty happy. Looking for a little more consistency in some of our finishes, but 2 wins is great, and had a lot of speed. So consistently working towards being a great team, and pit crew, driver, spotter, and mechanics are all building great cars, and just happy to be working on this car. It's next gen car is turning out to be a lot of fun, a lot of different things, which makes it interesting, and something new every week. So it's just great start to the year.
You talk about the impact of all of the different facets, whether it be driver, crew chief, pit crew, mechanics. How is that chemistry building second year for you at Hendrick Motorsports?
Yeah, it's really good. Just getting to know everybody a lot more. Had a couple changes in the off season, but not too many. And just really trying to build that chemistry, like you said, of getting to know everybody in the engineering, everybody that stays at the shop, and then people from General Motors and Chevrolet, and just building all that chemistry, and it's working out really well. I think one of the big factors for us was doing a lot of off-season testing. It really helped us connect to this car, and then as a team, we were able to be a part of pretty much every test session. So just that chemistry itself is awesome. We used to. Back in the day, used to do that once in a while, or, especially in the off season, you could even go to, Hickory Motor Speedway, where you go to Motor Mile, or you go somewhere just as a team building type thing. And so we actually got to do that again, and it paid off, and it's rolling really well right now.
Yeah. The COVID restrictions of last year made it a tough first year for you with not really having even practice, not only testing, but not even practice for you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was plenty of times where, we started and rolled off and we're fast off the trailer and just to start the race, like you said, but, just the building of communication, learning the car and just how things work at HMS compared to what I'm used to. And having that opportunity this year, this off season has made things huge. Getting used to these 20-minute, 15-minute practice sessions, depending on the week is good. It's when, a long time ago we would have said that's nothing, right? But when you have zero practice over 2 years, well, we're begging for all we can get. So we're enjoying it.
Find that balance, that's for sure. Rudy, you had you have go back with William as far as the history goes, and that sort of thing, and working with him on all of this. That relationship, Todd had kind of referenced it a little bit as well. One of the things you talked about in your first meeting with him, we shared this story last year when he came on the show, the Buffalo Wild Wings meeting where you first met him. You talked about him being studious. Is he still that same student of the sport? Is it evolved? Has it matured over time as you've gotten this second stint with him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he loves racing. He loves putting the work in. He loves being a student of the game, but definitely the maturity level of what he's looking at and what he knows is completely different than it was 6 years ago. So, being it just has so much more data to look at, and then just all the experience. So, even this year, racing different kinds of cars, I get text messages late at night. I don't see him to the morning most of the time, but I wake up and I reading through all these things that he went through and had fun and doing this and all that. So I start my day most every day with something that he drivers stay up late, crew chiefs work late and go to bed as soon as they get home. So I wake up to most of those things, and always learning something, always having a nugget for me to share with the guys and try to get better on what to look for. So just love working with somebody with that much passion to get better and do anything you can to win.
I hope you fire those texts back to him at wake up time for crew chief time, just so he knows that the clocks are a little different. But Talladega won a stage, ran up front most of the day. I know you got caught up in that late situation there. The 23, I think, blocked you and got you up in the wall. But solid run for you guys and your whole organization. And as a competitor to your organization, I felt like you guys won a lot of poles. You had a lot of speed. Didn't always have the finishes in the race. All of your cars ran up front and raced really well. Didn't qualify quite as well as we've typically known your Hendrick cars to. But has there been a change in philosophy? Was there a different mindset going into this race, Talladega?
Yeah, I think it's been probably it's over a year now. Honestly, it doesn't always show up, and sometimes you keep getting poles here and there. And don't get me wrong, we always want to get the pole for the 500, right? Being on the front row of the 500 is huge, right? But starting last year, we were trying to figure out how to make our cars, do what a lot of the Penske guys have done. The 2 and the 22 and the 12 are always really good at pushing and staying together, and so it's no secret. So we've been working for a long time, and it's hard because you race one and then you've got 10 races off, and then you race another one and then you got 10 races off. So you don't always connect the dots as good as you need to, and clearly I think we made a huge jump for this race. So just a lot of people working really hard on it here. Steve Berg is one of the best aero speedway guys ever, and you just continue to work on how to get that better, so we can have a car that races in a tight pack and pushing and doing that you need to do to win these races. So definitely an emphasis showed up this Sunday, but it's been, like I said, it's probably been every bit of a year or more that we've been working super hard on trying to get better at that.
Rudy, one of the stories, bigger picture stories coming out of Talladega was it was unveiled that Trackhouse, the same winning car at COTA, was the same winning car at Talladega Superspeedway. We're all blown away by this, although when you look at inventory and everything, I guess these cars have got to run somewhere. Is that normal? Was that an outlier? How are you working it as far as those cars from a road course to a super speedway?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton different. You kind of we bolt them together, and you can get a small amount of movement on some of the body parts in here and there on them. But that's common. I mean, and so most everybody has about 5 chassis now, I think, finally. But at COTA, we were at like 4. So we were able to run our Atlanta car at Talladega. But Atlanta was the week before COTA, so that kind of makes sense for where they were at in their rotation, So like our dirt car from Bristol is probably going to be our 600 car, and forever the 600 car is like one of your brand new everything, the best you can have, and you're bringing it, and and it will be. It's just going to be the rotation wise. It's probably going to be the dirt car, So we just have to wipe all the dirt off and tell it it's not a dirt car anymore, and it's got to win one of the biggest races of the year.
Do you see it totally just being the rotation now? That it's whatever every fifth race ends up being where it comes back, or do you see tolerance deviations within the parts that you might say that this front clip's going to be better here or this rear clip's going to be better here, and kind of pull us apart?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. There's definitely, we're noticing some things there, and we try to get the best out of all of those things, and that's happening. But it's not happening as much as a crew chief and the engineering staff would like it to. Just because of inventory. You would love to say that one's got to sit over here and that one's got to sit over there, but we physically still don't have a ton of parts. And then when you go through a dirt race and then Talladega back to back, you lose parts again. So as we start to build up and start feeling good, and then okay, now I'm down a clip 2 weeks in a row, and because that's just those kind of races. So every time you start to feel like you can take a breath, it's you get back to where you're a little bit behind. So we had a lot of good races. Before we were able to keep cars together and get good finishes. So hopefully we can get back on that schedule and get caught up and kind of pick through and get the best cars at the best tracks. But it's a give and take for sure this year.
Rudy, you mentioned, I think in your first answer, enjoying working on this car. And I'm not asking you the specifics, the nuts and bolts, and to give away the secrets, but what are some of the characteristics? What are some of the things that you find enjoyable, the challenges with this new race car that we have?
Yeah, it's enjoyable because it's so frustrating on some of the things that you can't do and you can do, and so that challenge is the biggest thing. So yesterday was sitting in a room for a long time banging our heads against the wall on how we can make this car really like the cars that went 1, 2, 3, 4 at Dover last year. And the truth is it's not that easy to just take this and take that, because there's not enough the same. So you're trying to really rack your brain and take as much information as you can to make good decisions and relate it to not only last year, but you're really relating to earlier this year and tracks that are the same. So until we run enough of these different tracks, and we're running at a lot of different tracks, Dover, Darlington, coming up, Kansas is its own little animal, and Texas, those 4 are going to be huge for us. You're going to see some guys that you think should go run well at those tracks that they're going to put up a dud, and we quickly learn how to get better. But it's surprising, the tracks you think, man, I got this. This makes sense. It'll be like this, and you're surprised, So if we stacked up how many times we hit it on the head for practice, it's not as many as we'd like, but we all seem to get better, and guys rise to the occasion, and everybody's race car during Sunday is, for the most part, is pretty good. So it's just hitting the nail on the head better for practice to have a winning race car for Sunday.
You talk about your 1, 2, 3, 4 finish at Dover last year, and I'll just, my memory, Hendrick Motorsports has been really strong at Dover traditionally. That's been a place that you always felt that organization was going to be, up front and in contention. And there's certain racetracks, you look at Richmond, and the Gibbs cars came back, and that's a place they've run well. They ran well this year. It's Martinsville. There's typical people that can always run well at Martinsville. It's like once they figured it out, they've gone on. Do you feel Dover's that way for you guys, that there's kind of a thought process and mentality to Dover that at least you, as you talked about, you look for that and try to figure out how to get that back in this car?
Yeah, for the most part, you feel better than some other places. We usually struggle at Richmond, so I feel way better than I did going to Richmond. But you can take things like shocks and feel like you got a good handle on what you need to take and what you had and what you need to take, and the spring packages, wheel rates, those kind of things that you feel pretty good about. But still, with no track bar and no truck arms and all that, you're still trying to relate some things that are just difficult, so but definitely feel good about it. Dover, like you said, if you know what parts of the corner, where you need to excel at, I think that's part of it too. Is like it's about how you solve the problem. So sometimes if you struggle somewhere, you're like, well, I think I need to be faster on entry, or I think I need to have better drive off, and you can't have all those things at a lot of these tracks, that. So it's really, it's like, okay, to be good here, I got to be good on entry, and I got to be good leaving, and the center, it kind of is what it is. If you get all of them, great, you're definitely going to win the race. But if you can get 2 of the 3, you're going to have a top 5 car and have a shot to win the race. So you're just, that's what helps about having good history, I think. It not only just the nuts and bolts and shocks and springs.
Yeah, definitely. The focus on those points and having a good data point. I know I've done that in the past. To have a teammate that's good someplace, you've got data to go back to and build your program. What do you think? You're talking specifically about Dover. What challenges rise to the top of your head with the next gen car going to Dover? Being I mean, it's its own creature. I think I talked to Ryan Blaney on Monday night, and he talked about it being a wooden roller coaster. And I thought it was a great analogy. But what challenges do you see with this next gen car that weren't particularly there last year?
Yeah, it's a lot of it. It seems like the car, just the way the stagger is and the way the transaxle works, it drives off the right rear a lot. So you don't have the same contribution of left rear to right rear power, and how that's applied. So figuring that out and how you apply that to your setup is big. And then the next biggest thing I think that comes up all the time is how we want to run the car from an aero standpoint, a platform, and you have those dang internal bump stops, and they seem to they prevent you from running where you want to run. That's what NASCAR put them in there for, is to not let the car run too low, but we have to run right there at them. And I think that's with so much load at Dover, you're on the edge of having a tire failure. You see a lot of rear tire failures because the way these diffusers work, and everybody I think notices the front end of the car is running higher, the back of the car is running lower, and that's how the car wants to run. But you end up running right near those rear bump stops, and that's why you see so many tire failures this year in the back. And so that's usually the biggest topic is I want to run it here. And how much how much of a risk am I going to take to get that extra 3, 4, 5 counts of downforce to maximize the car.
Man, can't wait. I love the challenge at Dover, but I can understand you guys sitting in a war room trying to figure out what to do all day yesterday. I can imagine that. Rudy, my final question before you taking it off the track. You shared with us last year here on Crew Call your enjoyment of hiking and this balance, this life balance, work balance. We had Brian Patty on last week, and he pretty much flatlined it that you guys are working a whole lot more than you ever worked before. This car has put a lot of hours on you guys. How are you doing with the balance? You still getting your chance to hike? You managing that all right?
Yeah, so he's right. I mean, it's been the work week time is so much more this year compared to last year and ever before. It's coming in pretty early on Mondays and working late, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays are really long days. And Thursday morning, sometimes you're still working to load and finishing some meetings, getting ready, pre-race meetings, things like that. You're flying out on Friday. So, the only downtime I have is Saturday afternoon. So that's a little bit of a blessing. I've been going pretty much every week, going find a state park somewhere. I was in Talladega. I was in the national forest there, went for a 5-mile hike on Saturday afternoon, and that kind of, you get a view somewhere and sit down, and it kind of relaxes you a little bit. So that was cool. Other than that, Saturday night and not having to be at the track super early Sunday morning is probably the only good night of sleep you get. If your race car is pretty good. If your race car is bad, you don't sleep well. So other than that, it's been busy, but still got some family things. I've got my oldest son is graduating this year. He's a senior, so been trying to catch as many baseball games this spring and all of his sporting events as I can, but I miss more than I want to. So, but we're still balancing it out and seeing some. He had a senior night last night, so we got to go, and that was fun. So appreciate you asking that.
Nice. Good stuff, that's for sure. Rudy, always a pleasure. We'll look forward to catching up with you at Dover and wish you the best up there this weekend.
All right. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
There we go. That is Rudy Fugle, crew chief over at Hendrick Motorsports, joining us here on Crew Call. Stay with us. More in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call presented by Flow Racing, the new home of NASCAR Roots. You can subscribe at www.flowracing.com. Always a pleasure hanging with Rudy Fugle. He's just always been one of those guys, Todd, that as a radio guy, you can go pick his brain, and he's always open, he's always honest, and everything. I just think he's fascinating, and the success he's having over at Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know that anyone's shocked. It's confirmation of how good he is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I knew Rudy back in the old Nationwide days. Paths crossed back then. Quality person. Things thinks his way through it. I think he's level. You don't see a ton of emotion out of him, and I think he does a great job over there. And his relationship with William was prior to his Hendrick Motorsports employment, and they've continued to build that.
He described it last year on Crew Call, and you can go back on YouTube and find our Crew